Research studies, including natural history studies, registries, and clinical trials, all rely on people choosing to participate and staying involved until the study is finished. Finding and enrolling the right mix of people is called study recruitment. Helping participants stay in the study and complete all required activities is called retention. Both recruitment and retention affect the quality of data gathered in the study. Some recruitment and retention concepts are similar across all types of studies, while others differ depending on the type of study. Every person living with a rare disease has a unique experience. Symptoms may look different from person to person. Some people have milder diseases, while others are more severely affected. Daily challenges, access to care from specialists, age, and disease progression can vary. For this reason, natural history studies and patient registries aim to recruit as many people as possible, so the data collected will include a full range of experiences. Clinical trials enroll a more limited group of patients and use what they learn from that group to understand how potential therapies may change the disease. For this approach to work, the people participating in the study need to reasonably represent the broader community who would be eligible to take the treatment if it is approved. For example, if 40% of people with the disease are women, then approximately 40% of the trial participants should also be women, or the resulting data may not fully reflect women's experiences. Clinical trials are designed to test whether a treatment works and is safe. Registries and natural history studies can have multiple potential uses. For example, a natural history study can be used to select a pool of possible clinical trial participants. The data from a natural history study could also help inform clinical trial endpoints and the selection of clinical outcome assessments, or what researchers in a clinical trial will measure and how they will measure it. In all studies, it is important to pay attention to who is joining the study. As recruitment happens in natural history studies and registries, researchers track characteristics such as age, sex, disease severity, and genetic variant. This helps them see whether certain groups are missing or underrepresented. In natural history studies and registries, tracking these characteristics helps ensure the study includes the full range of experiences with the disease. In clinical trials, the goal is to ensure there is age, sex, race, and geographic diversity among people who meet the study's inclusion criteria. If certain groups are underrepresented, researchers may need to make additional efforts to reach those communities. To optimize recruitment, researchers need to think carefully about where they share the information about the study, who they are likely to reach, who they might unintentionally miss. For example, posts on social media may reach some people, but not those who don't utilize social media or who don't check it regularly. Specialist clinics may reach people with more severe disease, but may miss those with milder symptoms or limited access to care. Because no single approach reaches everyone, researchers often need to use multiple ways to share information about a study and invite participation. People are more likely to participate when they understand what the study involves, why it matters, and how their information will be used. Recruiting participants is only the first step. For a registry or natural history study to collect the relevant information, and for clinical trials to appropriately answer research questions, participants need to complete surveys or questionnaires, clinic visits, lab tests, and necessary follow-up activities like periodically updating certain information until the study ends. This is called study retention. Registries and natural history studies aim to understand how the disease changes over time. Therefore, continuing participation in these studies is necessary. For example, they'll want to track if new symptoms appear or if symptoms get worse or better over time. It's also important to track whether a standard of care or the treatment for a disease that is accepted and widely used by doctors has changed and any effects of that change. In clinical trials, if too many participants leave the trial early, there may not be enough information when the trial is complete to tell whether the treatment is safe and whether it works. For all types of conditions, but especially for rare diseases, even a small amount of missing information can reduce the usefulness of the data and make it harder to be confident in the study's results. That's why keeping participants engaged throughout studies for rare diseases is so important. Patient advocacy groups play a powerful role in both recruitment and retention. Because they understand their communities, they can help researchers design studies that reduce barriers to participation, such as the number of days off work or school and how difficult the study activities will be for participants. Patient advocacy groups can help identify whether travel to a study site is too frequent or too far, study visits are too long, or if the procedures are appropriate for all participants. For example, will children be able to do all the tests required of them? These insights can help make it easier for patients and caregivers to participate. Patient advocacy groups can also help share study information in trusted spaces, explain why participation matters for the community, and answer questions in plain language. They can ensure that educational materials about the study are available in relevant languages used by the people affected by the condition and are designed for people with different levels of health and research knowledge. Here's an example that Cure Catasil created for their patient community, describing why it is important to participate in the advocacy group's patient registry. This example explains the why of participating and helps potential participants understand how their data could help advance research. A strong understanding of the challenges facing a community and their frustrations can also be used to motivate participation in research, like in this announcement developed by the International Topical Steroid Awareness Network, ITSAN, to motivate participation in their patient registry. For long studies, it can be hard to maintain enthusiasm until the end. Patient advocacy groups can help maintain community engagement. The Foundation for Prader-Willi Research helps their registry participants feel connected to their registry by regularly publishing blog posts on topics of interest to the community and providing some data from the registry along with an explanation. Here's an example with data about the use of feeding tubes. This helps people see how the information they put into the registry is used. People's lives are busy, so the National PKU Alliance, as part of its Awareness Month, has a day where they remind everyone to update the information in the registry. Building this reminder into a time when people are already thinking about disease advocacy helps make study participation a community effort where everyone contributes to learning more about the disease. When people feel connected to the purpose of a study, they are more likely to stay engaged and contribute complete information. That engagement, combined with strong collaboration between researchers and patient advocacy groups, helps ensure that studies reflect real-world experiences of patients with rare diseases and produce results that could be clearly used and understood.